Hello, good evening. Thanks for joining us on this evening's edition of Majority Caucus. As usual, we are coming your way live on Multi TV on your Joy News channel. It is important to state that we are not sure if this will be the final edition of this year's Majority Caucus. Obviously, next week by this time, we will be at the various polling stations counting and the ballots in favor of John Dramani Mahama, inshallah, from all the polling stations. And so we'll be busy. It's only natural that we'll dedicate that time to securing the victory of John Dramani Mahama and the NDC family. And so we are not sure. But of course, whatever happens, we will bring to our viewers what the latest trends will be. There have been a lot of issues in the media. Of course, the campaign is gradually folding up. We are almost close to elections. Like I said, next week by this time, everything is done and the counting will start. So it's important that we try to give you more or less like a summary of what has gone over the week, but we can only tell you so much. And so we are going to limit our focus to one or two pertinent issues in our view we think is critical to discuss tonight. I'm sure you listened or perhaps you watched the Minister for Communication, Dr. Edward Omani Puama. He catalogued an array of issues where the NDC has done excellently well. He also focused on the issue of judgment debt, where Akufo-Addo was fingered, if you like, in writing a letter to encourage the payment of judgment debt, a dubious judgment debt. I have to add, dubious judgment debt to the company called Great Cape. And then, of course, he also touched on Societe Generale judgment debt that they had. Subsequently, of course, Societe Generale bought a property believed to be, owned by Akufo-Addo around the Ring Road, Central, where it's now being converted to Societe Generale headquarters. So the public is allowed to draw the necessary linkage. But the important point is that when it comes to corruption, the MPP cannot escape from corruption. Actually, the MPP epitomizes corruption, whether in government or in opposition. We've seen the mismanagement in the MPP headed by Akufo-Addo himself. When Paula Foku and co complain about mismanagement of the party finances and accounts, their gratitude was to be sacked from the party. And so amongst many other issues. And then just recently, just yesterday, we were greeted yet with another unsavory remarks from Mustafa Hamid, the spokesperson for Nana Akufo-Addo. He claims Bugri Nabu, the MPP Northern Regional Chairman, I believe, was bribed. I mean, as ridiculous as the statement sounds, they believe it to be true. And their pension for telling lies can only be saved by they telling another lie to protect the lies that they told in the morning, in the afternoon, and then in the evening. Only God can save the MPP. But tonight, we will sum it all up for you, why you should continue to invest your trust, confidence, the peace and the security of this country and the John Dramani Mahama. Because it is only John Dramani Mahama and the NDC that can better protect the sanctity of the democracy that we currently are enjoying. So I would encourage you all, come next week, go out in your numbers, vote for the NDC, vote for John Dramani Mahama and all the various parliamentary candidates and the various constituency, and make sure NDC is retained in power. I have my guest. I will introduce him shortly after this brief break. Stay with me. Hello, thanks for staying with us. If you're just joining us, this is Majority Caucus live on your multi-TV. I indicated earlier in my introductory remarks that we are not sure if tonight will be the last edition, but of course, whatever happens, we will not hesitate to inform our viewers. But the fact is that next week, once again, God willing, by now, the victory results, or the victory trumpet, would have started blowing up from all the polling stations across the country. I have lawyer Edoji Tamaklo in the studio, the convener of CUDEC. and also the Greater Accra Deputy Regional Youth Organizer. He's going to tell us all about the Bugri Nabu saga, whether or not it is true, whether or not Mustafa Hamid himself is exonerated or absolved of any wrongful doing in terms of taking money from the president's brother. He will tell you all about it. And then we'll also look at the trend analysis. It is always important that prior to election, we'll let you know what the figures are likely to look at. I know Ben Epson has brought out a poll, and the MPP are diving for cover. But when he said NDC was going to lose the Medina and the Wager seat, they were happy and jubilating. But when he said Akufo-Addo is going to lose the election by 45%, they started attacking him, which is very traditional of the MPP. So Lawyer will tell you all about it tonight in this studio. Thank you very much, Lawyer, for joining us.
Thank you very much, my brother, and good evening to all our viewers and the able producers here. Let me also use this opportunity to salute all the men and women who have been part of this victory process. Let me also use this opportunity to say a good evening and salute all the youth organizers in the 275 constituencies whose work tirelessly have brought all of us here. What is refreshing to note is that of all the places that President Mahama had visited so far, there is a certain clarion call by young people of this country that President Mahama must twasso.
Indeed.
The claim that President Mahama must twasso is based on verifiable things that have been delivered. And I've always maintained that when it comes to President Mahama, the key focus from 2012 to date has always been the question of job creation. It is our belief that all over the world, globally, the question of youth unemployment is a big issue. What President Mahama has decided to do is to attack this matter head-on, using different approaches. President Mahama believes that if you are looking or preparing job for somebody who is a graduate, you cannot use the same approach for a brother who is an artisan. You must create a different opportunity for that person. So the approach to resolving this issue has been multi-pronged. Different approaches to resolve the whole issue of unemployment generally. The results have been very good, and that explains why in the NDC manifesto, a whole chapter is dedicated to what we intend to do in order to create more jobs for the good people of this country. The promise by President John Dramani Mahama, and consistent with what he has been doing, is to deliver close to 3 million jobs for as many of the young people that there is in this country. Like I told you earlier, what we all need to know is that today, as we speak, through the various interventions that President Mahama had put in place, be it the Youth Employment Agency, that's YEA, which is taking over 100,000 young people, both in prisons, police, different marine, different areas, sanitation, among other things. What President Mahama felt was this: as many of our brothers and sisters who are done with school, and if they are unable to make it, usually what happens is that we say the person is dropped out. At the law school, if you recall, one way or the other, a person is given at least a second chance.
Indeed.
What President Mahama has decided to do is that our brothers and sisters who just completed BCE, who were not able to do it, and remember this is their first time of writing papers outside their classroom, the anxiety, everything. So it is normal that a student comes out or a people comes out without getting the needed grades. So what we have decided to do, first time in the history of this country, is to allow for our brothers and sisters the opportunity to resit. And that is something that has never happened. What it means is that thousands of these our brothers and sisters who only ended at the JSS level, we cannot continue with them. You need to create the opportunity for continuity, just as consistent with the Twaso belief, so that they get a second chance and also to develop a certain talent, and it is working. When President Mahama brought the concept of the community day secondary school. As usual, our political opponents made the point that he cannot even build one, and that it was not going to happen. Today, I want to send a good message to them. Beyond having about 123 of these schools at different levels of completion, at least 70 of these schools have been delivered. In fact, on Monday, Tuesday, President Mahama was able to commission 8 new of these in just Central region. And there are several of them across the length of breadth of this country. In fact, President Mahama ought to be in Volta region from Friday thereabout to do one in Volu. So there are many that are ready. So he had basically asked that they should just populate them. Look, this 80 in Central region, the 8 new, even if one is taking 1,000, that's about 8,000. What it means is that this 8,000 couldn't have gotten the opportunity to be in any of our traditional second cycle institutions. So if 70 times 1,000, 70 times 1,000.
That's huge.
That's 770,000 of our kids, our brothers and sisters, could never have gotten this opportunity, would have left them out there. And today, President Mahama is doing it. Beyond the public universities that have come into place, that are offering people the opportunity, people who traditionally wouldn't have gotten opportunity to enter into the University of Ghana and what have you. But on the critical question of job creation, I think that we need to get these ones clear because it's something that is deeply on the hearts of many young people. What this government had decided to do is to link the question of infrastructure to job creation. We all know in Genesis chapter 1, verses 1, the Bible talks of the earth being void. And God said, let there be what? The earth, the heavens, and others. So even before God created man, he made sure that there was a solid infrastructure in place. Consistent with President Mahama, with this belief, what we have decided to do is that already we are about 10 years behind in terms of our infrastructure, what you call the infrastructure gap. Okay? And I have likened this whole scenario is to the relay, the race called relay, where you go, you give the baton to somebody, the person goes about. Now you have a situation where the people before him, okay, drop the baton in their process of giving it to him. So he has to go back, finish the unfinished race of them, and now continue his. So we already have about 10 years infrastructure gap, and we are trying hard under the circumstance to close it up. All of this infrastructure, be it road construction, hospital building, or what have you, the key focus has always been that it ought to be labor intensive. So that as many of our brothers, artisans, masons, welders, steel benders, and others will have job to do. And incidentally, most of these companies, the moment they are done with one job, they are getting another. And usually some of these jobs will take about 2-3 years to do. So consistently, they have something to do within 2-3 years. What we have also do, and today, when President Mahama formally opened the expanded Rich Hospital, I saw real excitement on the faces of doctors and nurses today. In fact, I was there. I saw it real. People were mobbing our president. They can't believe that from 2001 to 2008, the state of Rich Hospital is the same thing. Thankfully today, President Mahama has added 420 more to it. With the state-of-the-art equipment, it's never happened. If you recall, in 2002, then Minister of Health, Honorable Dr. Ucha Friye, promised that they were going to get a standby generator for Rich Hospital. We were made to believe that it's on the high seas. It is yet to come. That genset is still on the high seas. We are waiting patiently for it.
The pirate of the Caribbeans might have
no, this
intercepted.
One, the Pirates of Guinea.
But let me cancel because today we are.
Yes, I know.
The presidential debates will be coming on live, and I'm sure the stations will also be taking feed from that. So we are ending quite early than usual.
Yes, so let me quickly run to the regrettable low that the NPP has taken the politics of Ghana to.
Indeed.
One would have believed, and as I was growing up, my understanding was that when you speak of intellectualism, the NPP appears to appeal to that. And that we in the NDC, because of our military, our military background, we appeal to the foot soldiers and quote, the deplorables.
Indeed.
And I associate with them. Now, what is important is that the political party made up of the likes of Peter Lajete, B.J. Darocha, and the rest, today, is a political party made up of the likes of John Boadu, Mustafa Hamid, the Anthony Cabos. I mean, they have sunk Ghana's politics to the very lowest, to the most debasing form, where today evidence, critical thinking had given way to gossip and innuendos. Today you have a situation where Mustafa Hamid, and I'm sad, the last time I checked, when in Islam they call somebody a sheikh, there's certain jurisprudence in Islam. It must have reverence for Almighty Allah. Now you have a man who comes out to say that because Bugri Nabu's daughter was sick, and remember that from 1992 to 2000, Bugri Nabu was an NDC member.
Indeed.
He defected the moment NDC lost power. So he still had that relationship with most NDC people. He approaches that, look, my daughter is terminally ill. I need your help. And because of the kindness, people approach and say, look, we could help you. Unfortunately, this child of Bugri Nabu died. And even that, the man comes and says, look, help me do the funeral of my daughter. I'm handicapped. And Bugri Nabu believes that, look, the only way to pay Ibrahim Mahama or whoever is to concoct this blatant lie just for the purposes of scoring very cheap political goals. But you see, what is important is that Bugri Nabu's own daughter, who he buried, won't forgive him.
Indeed.
Bugri Nabu's, his own daughter, who is dead, won't forgive him for paying the Mohammeds back in this manner. He won't. The daughter won't forgive the father. And that is why I have always maintained that the leadership Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo had offered, even the NPP, is the lowest in the history of the NPP. Look, this is a party that had the likes of a Dubois, President Kufuor, and others leading them. I mean, look at the current state of the NPP.
Even the likes of Dambuche would have to die for cover.
Where are the Dambuches?
They have no role to play.
Where are the Odoi sites? Why are they not speaking? What is happening? Today, with the greatest of respect, the NPP has become like leprosy. Anything it touches, it infests it. It's the most intolerant breed of people you can have, because the man leading them themselves cannot
exemplifies that.
And look, it's simple. President Mahama does not need the services of Bugri Nabu.
Absolutely not.
He doesn't.
Absolutely
because
not.
You see, anybody who appreciates the politics of Ghana and the participation of Bugri Nabu in our politics will tell you that Bugri Nabu is a loose talker. How do you keep secret with Bugri Nabu? Who does that? You must be so unsophisticated to want to do secret business with Bugri Nabu. Because the moment he leaves you, he's telling another person. So who does that? But you see, why do you think the NPP would want to do this? Haruna Atta had come out to say that the NPP had the benefit of Aliu Mohammed's services. President Kufuor had tried with somebody else, he lost. Came with Aliu Mahama and won. He had the magic tag. It does appear that the name Mahama, if you want to win an election, you need that one.
You need it.
Yes.
In addition to the job.
President Mills did with Martin Amidu laws, did with Mumuni laws, and brought Mahama in and won.
He won.
I think there's something about
that Martin Amidu
did.
can come to terms
Please,
with. That's another matter.
I don't want to glorify him. But what is key in all of this is that, look, you make the point, and in trying to push this lie on President Mahama, you go as far as concocting that the sister owns a company called Merlin Investment. She's not even a director, shareholder of any such company. But in order for me, so anytime you see on the company registration a name called Hawa, it must be Mahama's sister.
Yes, it has to be for
And
Mahama.
so you create a link to connect President Mahama to it. If you recall, on 28th October, President Mahama was doing his campaign tour of a Dukru. He did Lower Manya, went to Akosombo. In fact, it was on that day that the chiefs of Ekwemu did that prayer that they were going to see their ancestors and pray to ensure that Nanado's face will even not come on the ballot. And it was a late night engagement with the chiefs. That day, I do not know whether it's a question of old age or Bugri Nabu's inability to recollect. But I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. He comes across as a very old person.
Okay.
So I want to believe that there's a serious question of recollection or maybe the facts. I want to give him the benefit of the doubt. But if it's on the 28th, then look, it's like a man who had gone to the forest and come home with vultures. Blatant. In fact, it's the most regrettable lie.
But in all this, why would Bukri Nabu not rather have addressed the press conference and allow Mustafa Hamid, who should be busy himself,
I think it's also
helping Akufo-Addo?
Because of what I'm thinking, possibly old age.
He can't speak,
yes,
but he can tell Mustafa Hamid this is what happened. But he can't tell Ghanaians directly.
Gancha, possibly he needed Mustafa to act as lawyer for him.
The horse has refused to speak.
Yes.
Even though it's better getting it from the horse's own mouth.
In the Bible, the prophet Balaam, and he was forcing a certain prophecy. And that is the kind of thing that we have. You see, the practice of Islam is a very serious one.
Indeed.
And that is why I fear people who hold the Holy Quran and lie. For instance, you and I were not there. You don't testify at all, especially if you're holding the Holy Quran. But you see, that is our politics. I have always maintained anything that gets associated with the person Nana-Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, you must go so low to prove a point to him. You see, look at...
Decency has no place.
No. Look at Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. In fact,
Fine.
he has to do some of the most unthinkable things so that NPP people can accept him.
Including telling the Ghanaian people in the Supreme Court that when there's an error between the figures and the words,
we all know the uniform
everybody
code
knows you go for the words. He said you go for the numbers. Then there's nothing more he could not say.
And this is an astute banker, at least from the last job, public service job he took. Astute banker. Yeah. But you see, why would President Mahama recruit Bugri Nabu to let us know that Nana-Addo is vindictive, Nana-Addo is intolerant, and Nana-Addo cannot accept
For
dissent?
we know that already.
That is already a matter of
We know that already.
In fact, you see,
he himself has told us.
Look,
Nana-Addo.
The U.S. ambassador to Ghana, who President Kufuor felt that she had done so well, that he decided to give him national honors, and I'm Bridgewater, had the opportunity of profiling MPP 17 aspirants for their last presidential primaries in 2007. The diplomatic cables speaks of a profile of Nana-Addo. He said the man comes across as what? Highly disorganized.
And arrogant.
So, I mean, this is what documented. As for the other ones, I don't want to state it.
Yeah.
For some reason.
The records will speak for themselves. So.
I don't want to go there. But I'm saying that we do not need the services of Bugri Nabu. He doesn't even come across as somebody who is even coherent.
And I'm also sure that he's not an integral member of the kitchen cabinet for want of better word. I'm not sure Akufo-Addo would entertain him.
I'm sure we'll prefer recruiting somebody like maybe Gabi or
because they are those who are managing the affairs of Akufo-Addo.
These are the people. These are the direct kitchen cabinet.
Indeed.
But you know why the NPP want to do this?
Okay.
You know that the email
yes,
conversation
yes,
have been leaked out.
Good. They want to shift the capital from Accra to Chebi.
Old man, a founding member or foundational member of the NPP in Greater Accra, Mr. Ato Kwashi, today had a press conference. And his fear is that if the email conversation are true, then Accra, that we've always called the capital city,
will no longer be
the
case.
We may be losing out to a place called Chebi. Yes.
And this is what they are trying hard to drown with this fictitious press conference.
So Mustafa Hamid had to do the hatchet work of diverting the attention of the good people of Ghana from this treachery. The last time I checked, Nanado's wife is a Ghana.
Indeed.
If you don't want to do anything to your in-laws, the last thing that you want to do is to stab them in the back. And they have failed to respond to that email.
In fact, they've kept very mute on that issue.
Because the email directly reflects their thinking. You remember?
Yes.
Osafo Mafo.
Oh, yes. If you don't come from resource-generating regions, you are not fit to man the affairs of this country.
So if you have these people constituting the kitchen cabinet of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo,
we'll have a serious problem.
So in order to divert public attention, all you have to do is to concord. Look, the principal letter that they claim was the base for the transfer of the car, even in that letter, it states that, take note, that this car has been sold to Bugri Nabu. Bugri Nabu is telling you and I that he was offered a bribe car. And he offered his 2 passport-size photographs, knowing that the item is bribe.
Isn't this laughable?
So that a car will be changed in his name.
Yes.
When he knows too well.
Who goes to accept bribe with evidence? It's the same, scurrilous propaganda they did about the Ford.
Can the NPP today help us with Bugri Nabu? They pay in slip where he paid the money into the Prudential Bank account on Saturday.
Good.
They pay in slip. Can they show us? But you see, our elders have a saying that he who the gods want to destroy, they first made them what? Mad. The NPP having studied their performance historically and the voter population, region by region, have come to that irresistible conclusion that Nana Addo is going for his 3rd time defeat. And what is even more dangerous for the NPP is that they are also sensing an internal implosion.
Indeed.
After December 7th.
Yes.
That the party itself stands to collapse on the head of Nana Addo Dankwa. Because there are people in the NPP who have just taken the stand. They are sitting on the fence, just waiting for Nana Addo to lose, and then they'll say, we told you so.
That's all.
We told you your poor leadership, this is where it has brought us. That this is a political party that could win 6 regions of Ghana. Today, you are only helping us with 1.5 regions. We told you.
And the other half is going to be divided into half.
That you are popular but not liked. People are just waiting on the fence to sing these ones to Nana Addo. And they fear a certain implosion within NPP. So the only thing to do under the circumstance is to look for this lie. But you see, Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah has said something, very profound statement. And he made this point in his book, That Days in Ghana.
I would entreat everybody to go and look for the book and read.
Page 75, chapter 5. He made this point, and the topic is the big lie. It has been said that the fabrication of the big lie is essential in the planning of any usurpation of political power. In the case of Ghana, the big lie told to the world was that Ghana needed to be rescued from economic chaos. Various other lies were hinged to this central lie. So the things Nkrumah said, they are just playing out. So if you look at Mustafa Hamid, he makes the point that the time has come for us to rescue Ghana. You cannot rescue Ghana with lies. You cannot rescue Ghana with this falsehood. But you say the MPP believes that the good people of Ghana are gullible, they are not discerning. In 2008 second round of election, after everything was clear that the NDC was coming back to power, you know, like a tsunami, you know what they did? They concocted the hit lists.
Yeah, I remember.
In the hit list,
I remember.
The MPP told the good people of Ghana that former President Rawlings was going to kill prominent men of God in this country.
Yes.
Should Ghanaians vote for the NDC?
I remember.
In fact, they labeled Pastor Mensa Otibo, Daki Ward Mills, among others.
Not cutting you. I remember Obushi Sai Kofi on TV3 with Hannah Tete, insisting on the authenticity about the existence of this list. She insisted the list was authentic.
Today, to the glory of the Almighty God, do you know that the International Central Gospel Church that founded Central University College had the accreditation in 1997. Today, to the glory of the Almighty God, because President Mahama is not petty and vindictive, Central University had been given a charter to, you know, to award its own degrees. That is a kind of leadership, the leadership of inclusiveness. That explains why, for me, my vote is on autopilot for President John Dramani Mahama.
Indeed.
It's on autopilot. And there are many more people in this country whose votes are on autopilot for President Mahama. But you see, isn't this strange that President Mahama this week, a problem that has existed for over 100 years, the Lavender Hill issue, the people of Mamprobi, Kolebu, Jamestown, all those surrounding areas.
The difficult moment they had with that situation.
Leadership, President Mahama had resolved that. So what President Mahama is doing is to resolve decade-old problems. What is Nanado's record? You hear MPP people say that Nanado, he is coming, he is competent. In what form
There's nothing for him to show.
In what form has he demonstrated his competence? Yes, he's a lawyer. Beyond that, do you know that it was when Nanado Danko Akufo-Addo was the Minister of Foreign Affairs,
Yes.
the International Student Hostel,
Indeed,
that used to house Africans all over the world,
under Kwame Nkrumah's leadership, to come and learn about African emancipation.
The land housing
was allotted to various members of the MPP.
In fact, the second person on the list, the first person I don't want for obvious reasons.
I know.
The second person on the list, do you know who the person is?
Tell the viewers.
Freddie Wesemao Blay, who is now the acting national chairman of NPP.
Good.
So when these people say change is coming, what in fact they are talking about is to come back.
Continuity of the looting and the corruption.
But for President Mahama,
when they made the announcement that
the Ministry of Foreign Affairs building,
they said Akufo-Addo said, "Oh, as for him, he doesn't like any portion of the land."
Do you know what?
But he didn't tell his members not to take it.
Do you know what that means? Do you know what that means? A man. Your house is under attack, robbery attack. A man comes around and said, "I am not an armed robber. I won't also help you." So
yes, they can take the foreign affairs land, but he won't take it. He won't take it.
I won't take
yes, he won't take it.
He said because he's Bora, so he won't take it. But you see, today as we speak, for the first time in the history of this country,
in 30 seconds,
84 kilometers of railway line is going to be constructed from Tema to Akufo.
I remember their record. They brought locomotive engines without railways.
As we speak, President Mahama is expanding the Tema Harbour 4 times. And the Tema motorway is doing a 6
and the natural effect of all this project is job creation. But this is the interesting part. The reason Akufo-Addo would not honor the invitation by His Excellency John Dramani Mahama for any debate is because he has nothing to debate on. There's nothing. There's nothing.
You will see an
There's
MPP
nothing.
person come
And so we understand.
typically
So
pedestrian.
tonight, when we watch the presidential debate organized by NCC in collaboration with GTV and GBC, know that because Akufo-Addo has no record to stand on and debate President John Dramani Mahama, come next week.
He's a professional opposition leader.
Make sure you go out
In fact, he has been doing that for the past 12 years.
Tuaso, Zantoin. Thank you very much for being part of the show. May God bless us all. See you next week.